Hello and welcome to the Golden Wheel Tavern. It's so good to see you all again today. And it's just me today, no bartender. We're going on a little adventure. Now, we're switching things up this time. You know, we've been going through that spooky castle of memories repeatedly, but I figured we could take a break from that and try something a bit different. This will be more reminiscent of the first set of minisodes we did, which was that Darling Amongst the Dust, that radiation wasteland style thing. This one is called Lighthouse at the End of the World by Bannerless Game. I will put a link in the description of this episode and on the social medias if this catches your eye. The idea behind this game is that you are a lighthouse keeper. For some reason, you have been sent out to this lighthouse. You must maintain it. Unfortunately, shipwrecks create ghosts, and you have loneliness, isolation, guilt, that kind of stuff. It builds up over time, and you have to try to maintain the lighthouse and yourself while also dealing with these ghosts that want to get rid of you. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong. First and foremost, we have to gather our materials, which I've already done. 10 tokens to represent the likely 10 spirits. Deck of cards, pre-shuffle. Today I am using Agates of Lake Superior deck of playing cards. They aren't very good. They're, novelty cards with agates on them, so they're kind of, low quality and not broken in enough, but they shuffle fine. I have a d6, which I will roll to determine how many cards I pull for each day, representing the events of each day. Once again, similar to Darling Amongst the Dust. I believe it's actually the same system. And then this game calls for a tumbling block tower. I do not have a tumbling block tower, but there are multiple systems you can use to kind of represent that sort of thing. Darling Amongst the Dust had a countdown system that the number ticked down, and then at a certain point you'd roll a d6 and tick it down even faster once you reach towards the end game. The system I'm using has 9 tokens, and whenever you're told to pull from the tower, you'll roll a d6. If it's a 6, you remove a token, and if at any point you roll either a 6 or equal to or higher than your number of tokens, you lose a token. Except for the last one, you have to roll a 2 or higher to lose your last one. So for example, if I have 7, if I roll a 6, I lose a token. If I have 6 and I roll a 6, I lose a token. If I have 5 and I roll a 5 or a 6, I lose a token. If I have 2 and I roll 2 through 6, I lose a token. If I have 1 and I roll a 1, I still keep that token. Once the last token is gone, dead. Or rather, whatever the tumbling tower falls end of this game is. So, once all that is set up, you can start with your first entry. But before we get to that, brief call to action. If you like what you hear, you can go to our social medias and support us there. We are the Tavern Keep on Blue Sky and the Tavern Keep's Guide on Mastodon and Tumblr. You can also join the Discord. Go to the social medias and share, boost us in the algorithm. Those are important. Whatever service you're listening on, give a like, share, whatever, give a rating, whatever it is. That'll also help move us up in the algorithm, which is very important to us. We really appreciate it. If you're listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe, that kind of stuff. We really appreciate it. It's that support and growth that we need. The number one way you can help us, of course, is to tell other people about the show. That's going to help us more than anything else, because getting more ears, getting more listeners sets off a chain reaction, right? Getting more people, and those people tell more people, and those people tell more people, and it just goes out and out. So please share if you can. That means the world to us. Then, if you want to support us monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide. Support us at $5 more a month to get the extra cut with all the side talks, diatribes, extra things. Any special little things will also go on there. And then there are some benefits at higher tiers. But you can go to patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide to see about those. We really appreciate every one of you. We really do. Please tell other people about the show. It means the world to us. Now, on to the first entry. So, during Lighthouse, at the end of the world, you will be journaling the things that happened to you, as well as what you think and feel about them. The first entry will act as sort of a prologue. Begin by flipping your coin. Heads, you're writing the letter to someone at home. And tails means you're writing a journal. So, we will flip the coin. Heads, I'm writing letters to someone. So, I will be writing letters to a family member. A family member who is famous for wanting to travel, but never traveling themselves. They relish in postcards and letters from far-off places. I think they'll quite enjoy my letters from this lighthouse. I took up such a remote post for such a long time to help with the loss. Says I can be vague and simple hunch is enough, so I will leave that as is. That's all I need to know about my character for now. The rest will emerge during play. Now it's time to write your first journal entry or letter home. So I'll begin with a greeting. Flip a coin to determine how long I've been here. Tails, I have been here my boat dropped me off here less than a month ago, but more than 2 weeks ago. And I have to pull 3 blocks from the tower. We roll 5, 3, 4. So no pulls, no significant changes to the tower yet. Okay. And we will go to the tables in the back to determine point of origin and ship that dropped me off. So, the 3d6 to determine the ship name that dropped me off. 4, 6, 10, 16. Ship is the Patience. And port 2, 1. So 4. So 3. Dismiss. Cool. Okay. Okay. April 21st. Dear Francis, it has been just under a month since the Patience, with its almost fitting name, dropped me off here, this island, to tend this lighthouse. It suits me in a way, this place. It is cyclical in nature, the rising and falling of the tides, the turning of the light, the mending of the machines on a daily basis, the mending of the larger machines on a weekly basis, the meals, the walks, usually all the same, but each day slightly different in their own unique way. It's peaceful here. It's almost so peaceful to get away from St. Dismas. It's so nice being here. I can't seem to figure out why I heard so many rumors about the previous lighthouse keeper being so belligerent or so hostile. It's so peaceful here. I don't see how one could become so violent in a place like this. It's a beautiful view from this lighthouse. I can see over just a little bit away another island similar to this one, but this one, the one I see rather being a penitentiary of sorts. Is that a little too fitting, do you think? A little too serendipitous? Patience dropping me off at my self-imposed penitentiary, if you will. Funny how fate sometimes is a comedian all its own. Strangely enough, though, despite the fact that it's so peaceful, I wouldn't consider myself alone. I know you hear of travels. I know you've received many, many letters. But I can tell you that I've seen something rather phenomenal here. In quite the literal way. Strange phenomenon. Restless dead. Ghosts from the shipwrecks. I watch over them. They keep an eye on me. It's, I think, an easy truce. It's at least a beautiful one. And it gives me hope as I watch the patience sink away into the horizon. I thought to myself, have I done wrong here? But this hope tells me that I have not. Yours truly, Gerald. Okay, so first missive. So each turn usually constitutes 1 week of your life, of your character, but change it out as we see fit. So shuffle the cards. They were already shuffled, but I just wanted to be sure. We will take the d6 and roll it. That is a 4. And we will pull that many from the deck, setting them face down in front of me. Okay. Pull the cards one by one and consult events of note to see how your weeks unfold. So, this week shall involve the 9 of diamonds. You catch a whiff of a scent that does not belong here, the perfume of someone whose heart you broke. Do you respond with violence or melancholy? Pull from the tower. Queen of hearts. A revolver and 3 bullets. Enough to permanently alter the tone of your stay here. Not nearly enough should the penal colony next door erupt. Where do you keep it? Pull from the tower. Is a 4. 5 of spades. Sunlight, beautiful, all-seeing sunlight, turning the sea and the sky, brilliant hues on a crisp, clear day. Why do you shun it? Pull from the tower. And 3 of diamonds. You've met a ghost once before, you think. What do you remember? Why are you uncertain what truly happened? Pull from the tower. Okay, what's that thing for dealing with ghosts? Oh, when I roll a 6 for the day. Okay. Wait, I need to check something. You know, they don't really say what happens if you're... Okay, if you run out of cards, it's just discarded and whatnot. Okay, so these are my events. April 28th. Dear Francis, it's been an interesting week since I last wrote to you. I was searching through this lighthouse, searching for, I don't know, things to hold my attention for a brief moment, when I caught a whiff of something. A weird scent. A scent I had not smelled in quite some time. A scent I had come here to get away from. There was a bottle of perfume. I don't know why the previous lighthouse keeper had it. I've heard that men do strange things when isolated for long periods of time. I should have kept the bottle, but I'm sure the fish will be quite happy with their new accessory as I cast it into the sea. What I found that I didn't cast into the sea, though, that caught my attention, was a small box inside with a revolver and 3 bullets. Only 3 bullets. It won't change much, it won't do much. Especially if that penal colony is why the previous lighthouse keeper had this. It would hardly make a difference. But I will maintain it as I maintain most things in this place. That's enough melancholic talk. You should have seen the sunlight the other day. It shimmered on the water and shone like a beacon, brighter than my lighthouse could ever want to be. I think you would have very much appreciated the sight. I, of course, stayed inside. My pale complexion would have been turned redder than the lobsters that used to be served at the holiday dinners. I stayed inside. You know me, I'm a bit of a homebody, and I guess since this is my new home, I will stay inside as well. Even if it does cause me to have a strange run-in with a ghost that I could have sworn was familiar to me. Do you remember that old forest? That old forest just down the road from the school. Just down the road from the schoolhouse. A small wooded area, and that strange stone structure that looked like a chimney, just alone by itself in that little wooded area. I could swear one day I went out there to that little chimney and I saw a little girl, and when I approached her she ran behind the chimney, and when I circled the chimney she ran in front of it. It was a little game of circling for a little while, until one time I switched directions and tried to pop out the other side. When I knew she was going around clockwise, I switched to counterclockwise and she never showed. Of course, I was young at the time. I could have just been foolish and it was just a normal girl and I just was outwitted. It's strange though. I swear it's the same girl. It's one of these ghosts that follow me around this place. But such is the way it is. This is my new life, and I'm quite happy with it. Yours truly, Gerald. Okay, so we discard these, and we roll again. 2. A 3 of clubs, which means you discover a naval mine caked with rust and trailing a broken chain, lodged in the rocky cliff below the lighthouse. What, if anything, do you do about this? Pull from the tower. Nothing changes with the tower. And 7 of spades. Blackbirds circle the lighthouse for hours upon hours and then vanish. What do you think you heard in their ceaseless crowing? Pull from the tower. 6. I lose a token from my tower. Third missive. Because everything's going pretty well, we will just say May 5th. I've been keeping up a weekly writing schedule for now. Dear Francis, I take great joy in writing you these letters. There's something so comforting about it. This place, although peaceful, has its moments where stepping away for a brief second to write something really helps my mind. Just the other day, I found quite the oddity though. I found a naval mine. It was covered with rust and its chain was broken. It was lodged in the rocky cliff just below my lighthouse. I'm still torn as to what to do about it. I mean, in theory, I should remove it because it's dangerous to be there, but removing it in itself is dangerous. It's a real conundrum. It's a real difficult thing to make a choice like that. Lord knows I've made enough choices like that in my life. I don't need more. You enjoy bird watching, don't you, Francis? I seem to recall you were an avid amateur ornithologist. In a way, you were quite the bird watcher. You would request people send you drawings or sketches of the birds they saw in their travels. Well, let me tell you, I had quite the interesting run-in with birds the other day. Blackbirds swarmed my lighthouse, just swarmed, circling over and over and over and over. The noise was cacophonous. It was drowning out almost everything. The only thing I could hear was their cawing and what sounded like almost a baby crying, which was... I figured it was a trick of the sound. There's no babies on this island. I would know. I'm a grown man. But it was strange nonetheless, and it gave me quite the shock, to be honest. I was not expecting to be sitting eating my soup for the day and suddenly be set upon by what must have been hundreds of blackbirds. Maybe you can provide me some advice on how to deal with them in the future. I'd appreciate it. Yours truly, Gerald. 5. My 5, okay. First is the 10 of Hearts. A musical instrument. What is it? How fine is its make? What surprising trinket do you find in its case? The 4 of Clubs. You promised yourself you would return to the world improved. What skill are you cultivating in privacy of the lighthouse? Are you succeeding? Those two fit well together. The Ace of Hearts. Ooh, okay. You have discovered a stack of ship manifests hidden away by the previous lighthouse keeper. Among the hundreds of names within are the 10 that belong to your ghosts. Pull from the tower. Do not discard this card. Instead, set it to one side in plain view and place 10 tokens on it. At the end of each day, roll a d6. On a 6, remove 1 token and consult laying a ghost to rest. If you successfully remove all tokens, you put the 10 ghosts of the lighthouse to rest. Consult when the last spirit is freed. Oh, so this is my path to the good ending. So this, yeah, Darling Amongst the Dust is definitely the same system as this. Because now I have my path to ending, which if I roll a d6, I will remove a counter from that. Okay. Queen of Spades. A change in wind brings the sound of work shanties from the penal colony. A single line from the tune claws at your mind long after the song fades. What is it? And last, the King of Clubs. Ooh, don't want to be pulling king cards. Oh yeah, pull from the tower. A profound melancholy seizes your heart. The ghosts either claim credit or offer sympathy. You neglect your duties for days. What if the lighthouse or the self falls into critical disrepair? Do not discard this card. Set it nearby where you can see it. If this is the 4th king you have drawn, consult ill-fated conclusions. So I've got one of the kings that represent the end of everything. Okay. So, 4th missive, we will actually push out because of that king card to June 5th. We will push it out a full month. Okay. Dear Francis, I'm terribly sorry that this letter is finding you so much later. Things got away from me, but we will take it one step at a time. I found a hurdy-gurdy. Not of excellent quality, mind you. I doubt a lighthouse keeper would leave such a fine instrument behind, but it was left behind nonetheless, and it's relatively in tune. Inside its case, though, I found a small key attached to a chain. As far as I've seen, there's no locks around here that would go to, but it's maybe sentimental and it looks nice, so it's a surprising little thing. I've been practicing with the hurdy-gurdy, of course. The droning sound carries over the water quite well and really makes for a wonderful little tune as I'm sitting and waiting. It flows out, reverberates on the rocks and comes back. It's a beautiful thing. I'm quite glad to have something to put my time and energy into. Although, those ghosts that I've been telling you about, well, I've made some progress. I've found their names. In that same closet where I found the musical instrument I've been working with, I also found a manifest, a log. And in that log, the 10 names. I think I might be able to actually do some good here and help them with their loss just as they're helping me with mine. It's an interesting thing to have hope in a place like this. Of course, hope comes and flows like the ebbs of the tide. You should have heard the work shanty. I can't remember much of it. Tune help me. I'm terrible at remembering tunes. I could hardly carry a tune in a bucket. But something about the work shanty flowing with the wind. There was line of when the work is done and the picks are down, we shall be set to rest in the ground. And something That tune, that line, working and working until you are set to rest. It reminded me of the loss that brought me here, and it wedged its way into my mind. That's why I hadn't written to you for so long. I was struck with a deep, deep melancholy. The ghosts tried to offer me sympathy, well, some of them. Turns out one or two of them were malicious and claimed to have changed the wind. I didn't believe them. I don't think they have the heart for it. They don't have a body to have a heart in. But I fell into a deep melancholy, and frankly, I let too many things slip into critical disrepair. Multiple parts of this lighthouse I've been working on for the past few weeks. That's why I've been too busy to write to you. I've been trying to get this place back up to tip-top shape, but it's been difficult. But it'd be wrong of me to give up. I will work until the pigs are down. Yours truly, Gerald. And now we roll a d6 and see if we get a 6. That is a 5. Okay, time for the next day. 6 for the day count. You don't want to see that. So, what are my 6 events for the day? 5 of clubs. There are complicated mechanical works in the basement whose function is crucial yet obscure to you. How do you manage? Does one of the ghosts help or hinder you? Pull from the tower. 6 of hearts. Heirloom furniture. A little waterlogged but sturdy. Unassuming yet reliable. Who does it remind you of? 7 of hearts. Love letters tied in string. They begin with passion, rage into fury, and be calm into apologies. Perhaps a note of hope. What do you read between the lines? Pull from the tower. 7 of clubs. What whispers do you hear in the light's rotation? What voice do they sound like? Pull from the tower. 3 of spades. You wake to the shrill of dozens of seagulls feasting on the beached carcass of a whale. Do you partake? Pull from the tower. Yes. Okay. And last, Jack of Diamonds. The ghosts slither their fingers into your psyche and play act a dormant memory they find there. What is this play? Pull from the tower. Do not replace. What does it mean by do not replace? You know what? I gotta go on a brief dive. Wretched and Alone. Doesn't really... Back to where I was. I just seen... Taking a better track of where I was. Right, because of the Jack of Diamonds, and it gave me a question. Okay, so, next missive. June 12th. Dear Francis, I have gotten myself back into relatively decent shape with everything. Well, as decent as I can seem to get it. I'll be honest, there do seem to be quite complicated machines in the basement of this place. One of the ghosts offered to help, but its whispers were too loud. It's strange to describe that, but I'll manage. I always have. I've been drawing diagrams and working out what I can. I've been, in fact, tinkering a little bit. It's a skill I'm glad to be building. Oddly enough, I was once again digging through things. This time I was trying to find the diagrams necessary to repair this strange machinery. Didn't find it, sadly, but I did find this heirloom chest. Little waterlogged, but extremely well made. Not very decorated, but I could tell it was good to use. It reminds me of Uncle Jeffrey. You know, bit of a sour sport he was, but you could count on him. He was a man of manual labor in a way that everyone admired, but he took very little pride in. He wasn't proud of the fact that he tore his body to pieces for a living. But he was proud that he could do it. He was proud that he had strength to help others. I hope I can have as much strength as him. Hell, it took so much strength to open that chest. The lid of it was hefty on its own, but inside I found these, letters of love wrapped in string. They told an interesting story, though. Looking at them, they began with that passion of a newfound love, but quickly turned into rage, accusations, a relationship that had fallen apart. But the last few really caught my attention. They were apologetic and hopeful. I've seen these kinds of letters before. I've felt this sort of thing before. Those last few letters were never going to be sent. The recipient was never going to receive them. Those were letters not written to be sent, but to be stowed away like these. It really almost broke my heart, I tell you, Francis. I write to you now, Francis, that these letters pulled at my heartstrings like a symphony. It was in that same sorrowed state from the letters that I could have sworn I heard a voice as the light swirled around. The way it moves on its casters, there's sort of a hissing, but sometimes it sounds like a whisper. Someone trying to speak to me, too far away and too quiet. But the voice was recognizable. Sounded like my mother, shushing me to sleep, bringing me comfort. My mother never did that. This place has been so strange to me. It provides and it takes. It's a fascinating place. In fact, the other day I woke to screeching, even louder than those blackbirds. Turned out there were seagulls feasting on a beached whale. Well, I can tell you, whale meat, not that good. Not that good. I decided to try some, waste not, want not. It was tough and fatty, and it just wasn't for me. Although I feel changed in a way having tried it. I feel different. It's something I'll reminisce on. The ghosts the other day had me reminiscing as well, as they play-acted a strange memory. Me and her sitting on a hillside, gazing up at the sky, pointing at things, whether they were clouds or stars, I don't remember, and the ghost did not say. And then, well, we rolled on to each other and tumbled down, rolling down and down the hill, and the ghosts separated before they hit the bottom. That memory was so dormant. It was such an average day, save for the rolling. I can barely recall it. I don't know if we separated before hitting the bottom, me and her. It's interesting being here, Francis. It's quite interesting. Yours truly, Gerald. And time to roll for Ghost. Ghost! Okay, so we get to lay a ghost to rest. Okay. Little time, care what the steps you like. That too. I'm not gonna flip a coin. Ship's point of origin. Somewhere cold. Ship's destination, somewhere warm. Ooh, and what piece of salvage tied to the ghost do I have? Oh. June 13th. Dear Francis, I know I typically write to you on a weekly basis, but I must describe to you what happened. I connected with one of the ghosts. One of those 10 in the ship's manifest. Seems they were aboard the Tide Runner, leaving from Petite Gull, headed down to Mercy Port, leaving the cold behind them in the winter months. I was ruminating on those letters I saw and how I felt about them when they approached me. Looking over my shoulder, a tall man, slim of frame, reading them over my shoulder, I began to hear him weep. Weeping and weeping and weeping. And then I realized these letters, these were his letters. Ernesto's letters. I turned to him and spoke with him. We actually had a long chat about loss and about letters and about writing them. It helped in a way. It really did. And I helped him. I haven't seen him today. This all happened in the middle of the night last night. I was startled by a noise, probably one of the ghosts. And that was when I took to reading the letters. It's strange. I hope Ernesto is happy with where they ended up. I hope to be happy too. Yours truly, Gerald. Only one thing happened. 7 of diamonds. You remember another job long ago, one you were much better suited for than this. What went wrong? Pull from the tower. Dear Francis, this week has been deplorably mundane. Ever since I helped Ernesto, the other ghosts seem to take a wide berth around me, for now. So I've been able to focus entirely on my work. I am not necessarily the best inclined for this mechanical maintenance, but routine and pattern I am, and, well, we know how it went at the last place. It was a good job. Good job filling out those forms, collating the census data, and keeping everything neat and tidy in the library. It was a nice, cushy job for the city. But alas, when I met her, started to not focus enough on my work. My work started to slip. I was letting little things slide by, and next thing you know, I let something big slide by, and, well, luckily no one lost their lives because of it, but it caused quite the stir when it was found out that maintenance on various public projects had been disregarded for so long because the records had been misplaced and no one was keeping track of it anymore. And oh, it was such a blunder on my part. But alas, that's why I'm here. Maybe if I would have had a bit more patience. Oh well. Maybe next week will be more eventful. Yours truly, Gerald. Two. The 8 of clubs, the 8 of clubs, and the 8 of diamonds. Technically, we were supposed to resolve these in order. 8 of clubs, the warden of the penal colony visits and requests your help preparing something peculiar. What is it? How did he know you could do this? And the warmth of sunrise stirs a memory of a childhood trip, one you'd forgotten about until now. Where did you go? Why did you never go back? Neither of those are pulled from the tower. And I do not free another ghost. Dear Francis, I had a visitor the other day. Yes, I know, strange visitor to this place, but it was the warden of that penal colony I mentioned a while ago. I had almost forgotten about it, to be frank. He brought with him a strange device, though, a box of mirrors and gears. Something to apparently look through. He said he knew I could fix it because I had to deal with optics and mirrors here. He said it was some sort of device for keeping an eye on things. I don't know. He apparently he had this other box that it slotted into to see if everything was lined up right. I wasn't going to ask too many questions. But looking into it was strange. It was as though I could see all around me in every direction all at once. It was a strange experience. But enough on that. Do you remember when the family, the large family, not, our immediate families, but the large family took a trip, couple cities to the west, where they were having a festival? I only recall it because the warmth of the sunrise 2 days ago, the way it woke me up, reminded me of when I fell asleep on the grass in the park that we were picnicking at. And one of those fellows with the large drums, they were marching through, and somehow I'd slept through a literal marching band, but one of them tripped over me. I woke up to a large clattering of drum sounds and cymbals and whatnot. It was a strange experience. I, of course, was a mere child at the time and was scarred emotionally. I never returned to that town. Frankly, I still wouldn't. There's nothing to do there, and at best I fear I'd be called out for having destroyed a drum so many years ago. I know, it's a foolish fear, but things like that stick with you. Yours truly, Gerald. How long have I been recording? Hour 19, so I can probably do like one more day. Another one. And we'll see. I do not get a ghost. So, Jack of Spades. A late night cigarette invites a strangely candid conversation with one of the ghosts. What did it say about being dead that you simply can't shake? Pull from the tower. 5. Nothing happens. Dear friend, July 3rd. Dear Francis, I'm not one for smoking, but it always seemed so interesting. The folks who did it, they always had this look about them, a certain dismissiveness that came across as contemplative. I decided, why not? There was a pack of cigarettes on this island in this lighthouse. I went out, set the light going, and went out to the shore, lit it, took a drag, and nearly coughed up half a lung. One of the ghosts, though, seemed to be an avid smoker and took it from me. We had a conversation about death. Of course, started off with the one who took the cigarette saying, these things will kill you, don't you know? I said, yes, but many things will, eventually. In fact, something is guaranteed to. It was a long conversation, but there was something they said that stuck with me. They said, being dead feels like nothing you've ever felt. It feels like love. It feels like fear. It feels like sunshine. It feels like ice cold sweat. It's an anxiety to know you're moving on from something. It's a fear that you don't know what comes next. It's a joy to be free from all that tied you down. It's an excitement to see an adventure beyond what you started with. You said that death feels like life, but everything's different. I can't shake that thought from my mind. Maybe when I return, I'll write some sort of book of poetry. Yours truly, Gerald. Well, that's actually going to be it for now. Maybe next time we will go ahead and see to the end of this. This is pretty fun. I'm not the biggest fan, like, same review I gave of Darling Amongst the Dust. You know, it's not really mechanical, but I don't know, it's fun. I'm kind of taking a liking to journaling or otherwise, you know, less mechanical solo games. So maybe you will see more of them in the future. I do like these sort of prompt things and making it go this way. It's an interesting time. We will once again throw out another call to action, just to remind you all. Find us on social media, share, like, spread the word. We really appreciate it. Telling others about the show is the best way to support us more than anything else. Honestly and truly, we really so much appreciate it. We appreciate every one of you who listens, and we appreciate every one of you who goes to patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide and supports us there. Really, it means the world to us. So much, so very, very much. And as always, make sure to tip the barmaids.